Hello everyone and welcome to the class. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com. Right now we are live. We have people tuning in from all over the world. Bunch of people in Canada, the UK. We have one from Argentina, New Zealand. Oh, I just saw Craig from Kuwait just joined us. And of course all over the United States. If any of you watching us either on our website or on YouTube ever want to join one of our live classes, they are a lot of fun. They're free. We always leave extra time at the end of the class to answer any other questions that are off topic that you might have. You can find out, of course, all of that information on our website at PCClassesOnline.com. Today we are talking about the latest version of iTunes, which is iTunes 12. One of the things I always love to do during every class is I try to mention the date. It keeps things relevant because, as we all know, technology changes absurdly quickly. Today's date is November 22nd of 2014. One thing I do have to make a special note about for those of you who are watching this class after we record it, whether again through our website or YouTube. Because of the way YouTube works, what they do is they scan basically every video out there for any possible copyright infringement. And if I were to play a piece of music during today's class, I think it's more than just a few seconds, they'll pick up on it. So what I have done is I basically disabled for this particular class the recording ability for music. So you may hear it a little bit from my microphone. I do have speakers in my office, but I just want to let you know nothing's going wrong. If I double click on a song and you don't really hear it play, it's because if I did, they would flag this video and take it offline. So just please understand that. So today we are talking about the most recent version of iTunes, and one of the things I always like to do, I like to have a very honest relationship with all of our members, whether through YouTube or our website, and I want to just tell you right off the bat that in my own opinion, I don't love this latest version of iTunes. I think past versions were totally fine. They didn't really need to change it, and yet they did. And it may be one of these things where right now we hate it, and then 3 weeks from now, everyone's like, oh, God, remember that horrible old version of iTunes? Oh, how could you ever, deal with that? Well, I kind of have my doubts about that, but hey, it's always a possibility. So today what I'm going to do is kind of show you the ins and outs of iTunes. I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks for how to customize it to make it a little bit, maybe, depending on your opinion, better, and a few other extras here and there along the way. So the first thing I actually want to do is I want to show all of you the different preferences settings that I tend to recommend when I'm working with my clients. For those of you who are brand new, I have a small business where I live and I work privately with individuals, couples, and businesses and teach them how to better use their technology. So the settings that you're about to see are typically what I recommend for most of my clients. And if it's something that could vary, I'll be sure to make a note of it. So to get into iTunes preferences, just click where it says iTunes, and the second item down here is Preferences. Now, for those of you who maybe are tuning in today and are on a PC, I want to say that this is actually under Edit. But on the Mac, it's pretty consistent across every application that Preferences is under the name of the application, second item down. So here on the General tab, okay, I want to show you a couple little tricks here. So for those of you out there who have a big CD collection and you have yet to digitize it, this is a really cool feature. Down here at the bottom, it says when you insert a CD, you can program it to automatically import the CD and eject it when it's done. Now I'm going to show you the special import settings that I recommend for some of my clients. This can go either way, and I'm going to give you both of them. But one thing I want to make a little note about is what if you're on one of these new computers, and this is becoming more and more common. It's already pretty much across the board on all of the Apple computers, but now slowly on some of the PCs as well, where when you go to buy a new computer, it doesn't come with a CD drive, also known as an optical drive, by the way. So if you have a bunch of CDs and you need to import them, don't worry, you don't need a special computer to do it. You can just get a USB external CD drive. Again, optical drive. If you need a recommendation for one, I can give you a couple. And what I'm going to do is actually screen over here for a moment. If you go to our website at PCClassesOnline.com, we have a special little store page up here at the top right. And basically what I do here is I just give you the place to get the product. In fact, all of these come from Amazon. And so that way you can buy it on your own Amazon account, but it tags the products that I recommend. So when you come to this page, go here into where it says miscellaneous gadgets over here on the left-hand side. That's what we're on right now. If you scroll to the bottom of page 1, you should see this right here. It's a USB Samsung portable external DVD burner reader writer. It's $38.99. Now, you may have seen the one that Apple sells, for those of you who are Apple owners. It's basically the exact same thing, but just marked up by double. So save yourself a little bit of money. It's just as good. If you want to go a little bit further, for those of you who want to be able to play Blu-ray discs, next to it we have a external Blu-ray one, okay? And there's a third model, I believe, on page 2. The next product we're going to mention is on page 2, but not just yet. So here in general preferences, what I would recommend doing is go here into where it says import settings. Now this can go one of two ways. If you don't care about really perfect quality audio, up here where it says import using, I would change it to MP3 encoder. I believe by default it's set to Apple lossless. So you can do that. This is also a very good setting if you're importing something that's like an audio tape. Okay, so like a book on tape, that kind of thing. The other option here is Apple lossless. And for those of you who really care about really good quality, you can go with that option. Now, the only downside to using the Apple lossless encoder is the fact that it is going to be a larger file size. And I'm going to give you 2 different tricks to actually move all of your music off of your physical computer. Those are coming up in a little bit. If you have a CD that has a lot of scratches on it, you can use this option, but I would just use this as necessary. It'll use error correction when reading audio CDs, so it's going to take a lot longer to import, but if it senses, some sort of a scratch, it's going to really try to essentially buffer it out, if you will, from the digital end. Hit cancel. And so by doing this, it's a really simple process, and make sure you check this option here to automatically retrieve CD names from the internet. That way, when you bring it into your computer, it doesn't just say track 1, track 2, track 3. Okay, let's move over to the next one, playback. Okay, you can pretty much leave this the way it is. If you want to have that, I guess it's sort of a little bit like a DJ effect. If you want, you can crossfade songs so it blends from one into the other. Personally, it doesn't make a big difference to me. Sharing. Now, this is a good idea if you have multiple computers and you want to be able to go into another computer from the one that you're on. You can hit share my library on my local network. Okay. Store. Okay. If you, depending on what you do, you can choose to program this or not. Automatic downloads. What that means is if I go and I make a purchase through my phone, it's going to immediately go onto my computer as well, whether that's, if I check this option here, music, a movie, a TV show, or an app. I really wouldn't recommend using the apps function here because you can't run an iPhone app on a Mac. I know theoretically there are ways around it, but for all intents and purposes, I'm saying you really can't. So there's really no reason to store the apps that you purchase on your computer. Plus, keep in mind, everything you purchase through iTunes is a license. You can always get it back. And then look down here. Now, this item here, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know where this comes into play necessarily, but it says limit ad tracking. And I was just kind of trying to think, how would this come up? The only thing that I can think of is if you purchase certain types of products or music, they're going to try to use that information to influence the ads that you might see, let's say on a app that's free that has the little banner ads. That's my theory. I don't really know where that actually comes into play, though. Okay. Next here, we have parental controls for those of you who have young children. Now, unfortunately, there's still a lot of ways around all of this, but if you want to limit your child from having exposure to any of these items, you can enable that. Devices, okay? For the most part, I tend to recommend checking this option here. What it means is that if, let's say, a friend of mine comes over and doesn't know how syncing works and goes and plugs his iPhone into my computer, by doing this, it's not going to automatically try to sync my data to his phone. Now, theoretically, if you have a passcode, it's not going to do that anyway, but still, it's not a bad idea to check that option. And then finally here we have advanced. This is just basically where you're telling the computer where is it organizing all of your music files. I'm going to actually show you a different way for how to change this location in a little bit. I do recommend keeping the media folder organized. So basically what this means, and between this option and this option here, is let's say I have a folder of music on my desktop. Okay, I can take that folder of music and literally just drag it and drop it into the iTunes icon, and it's going to automatically import everything. And when it does that, it creates a copy. So if you drag music into iTunes, once you've done that, you can delete the original because iTunes now has its own copy. And then finally, if you look down here, this may be a little too late for some people out there, but if you maybe aren't so sure that you always want the latest version of iTunes, you may want to consider unchecking this option here, which by the way, by default is checked, to have it automatically check software updates for iTunes. So if you're worried about them making a mistake or maybe introducing features that you're not particularly interested in, you may want to consider unchecking that option. And we'll hit OK. So we're going to go over a whole bunch of different little things here today. Let me just go over my thing here. The first thing we're going to talk about is navigation. This is definitely one of the areas that had a very significant amount of change to it. So in the past, you had here on the left-hand side where you can see it looks a little bit like it used to. You used to have access to switch between your music library, your movies, your TV shows, podcasts, all those things were here on the side. You also used to have a button right here for where the iTunes Store would be. It's a little different now. Now what you do is you switch back and forth between your different categories up here at the top left. So if I want to be in music, I click here, movies over here, TV shows here. There are other options listed here with these little 3 dots. And if you want to modify them, there's an edit button right here. Okay, so you can choose to show or not show certain items. So if I want there to be a little link up here to podcasts, for example, I can check podcasts and see it adds that little icon back. So that's how you do that. And so let's say I want to rent a TV show through iTunes. Instead of going to the iTunes Store and then going to their TV shows department, now you go to TV shows and go to iTunes. So it's basically completely reversed. I don't love this idea. I think iTunes was fine. Did we really need to redesign it, guys? Really? Anyways, the one day I ever meet Tim Cook, I'll be sure to mention that one. Be like, can we just go back to the way it was? So if you wanted to go from here, from TV shows to movies, for example, you just go to the little movie icon at the very top left. Okay? I can kind of see their argument for where they might think that this is good. My issue more has to do with the fact that you train people to do it one way and then you reverse it. That's not the Apple that I know. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on that one. I still love them, by the way. It's just certain minimal frustrations that seem to pop up now and then. I'm actually going to, give me 1 second, just make this screen take up more space so you can see it a little bit better on your end. Okay, so in terms of music, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to music, and I'm going to go over into the playlist section right here. Now you'll notice we have here My Music, Playlist, Radio, and iTunes Store. My recommendation is to basically completely forget that My Music here exists and just keep it on playlist. This is what I recommend to my clients. It's not to say it's the only way to do it. I just find it this makes it most like the old version of iTunes. Now, when you get to the playlist here, it may look a little bit different. I want to pull your attention to the right-hand side of my screen up here. So currently I have it set to organize by songs. Some people, when you come here for the first time, may see it look like this, where it's organizing it by albums. And I just find this to be annoying because it's additional. You have to click more to get it. And here's another great example. So look at this Jessie J album, okay? So it's separated because these were purchased at different times. It's separated these all out together. And there's actually 3 different versions. If I scroll down further, you'll see 4. Look, it's all over the place. It's not fun. I don't like to have to reorganize my music more than I have to. So for that reason, what I tend to do is I click up here at the top right corner and I sort it by song. And then from here, you'll notice that beneath this bar we have other ways to organize. So it says name, artist, time, date added, bitrate, BPM, beats per minute, album. Now, the way you can organize all of these is if you secondary click in this white space over here, okay? Not on the actual name, but the space next to it. So for Mac owners, for you that's a secondary click, you're going to be clicking with 2 fingers on your trackpad. If that doesn't work, it's because you don't have it enabled. You can always hold the control key and click, and you'll get the same effect. PC owners, you're going to right click in this area. So these are all of the different ways that you can organize your stuff. Yeah, it's a lot. So for example, if I don't really care about beats per minute, which by the way, I don't really recommend it. If you're a DJ, this is definitely a handy feature, but otherwise, not so much. You can just uncheck that option and you'll notice that it, hello, come on. Oh, sorry, I did bitrate. And it goes away. I'm actually going to add bitrate back. If you want to move the columns around, you just saw me do it. All you have to do is drag it and drop it wherever you want. So if for whatever reason you go into iTunes and it's just like this crazy setup, what I would do is I would take the name column here and drag it and drop it over here all the way to the left, then artist, then time, then date added. Album is optional. It's up to you if you want that. I don't think I actually use that feature on my account. And then bitrate. Bitrate comes into, it can be very helpful when dealing with duplicates, which I have to remind myself to go over today. Duplicates. I always have a good old paper and pen handy next to me in case I encounter that. So to organize it by any of these options here, what you're going to do is click on the name. So if I want to organize it by the name of the track, I click on name. So now you can see it starts with A. If I scroll down, it ends in, well, in this case, it ends with a number, but otherwise it would be Z. Sort by artist, that's what I usually keep it on. It just, again, even if it's multiple albums, they're still all together. This also helps prevent another problem, which you can actually kind of see right here. So if you look at it, this song, Bang Bang by Jessie J, is part of the same album actually. But because it's a collaboration with other artists, it changes the name because it has a comma and then it has more information there. By sorting it by artist, it kind of overrides that fact and it still brings it together with all of the other like tracks that have been performed by Jessie J, who, in case you can't tell, I kind of like. So that's another little trick I wanted to show you right there. Let's see, just going through my notes here. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about different ways that you can create playlists. There's 3 different ways technically, 2 of which I recommend and 1 of which I don't really understand why you might use it. It's one of these features where I think it could be cool for a DJ, but if you're a DJ, you're probably not using iTunes. So the 3 ways that you can create playlists. Let's talk about them. So the first way is a traditional playlist, and that's actually what I really like doing. So a playlist is just simply a group of music. I use a playlist when I go to the gym. You know, I really like getting into my music. If you, maybe you in the class who are here live, if you don't mind reminding me towards the end of the class, I'll give a shout out to a brand new type of headphones that I've started using that I absolutely love. So if you need to create a playlist, the easiest way to do it is go down here to the little plus symbol at the bottom left corner. See the plus symbol? You'll see 4 different options here. New playlist from selection, new smart playlist, and new playlist folder. We're going to do the first option here, new playlist. And you can see here that it creates a playlist with just kind of the generic name. In this case, it's playlist 2. And anytime text is light blue like that, you can just type over it. So we can call this whatever you want. So right now, we're about to celebrate Thanksgiving here in the United States. So maybe you want to create a Thanksgiving playlist. And hit enter or return when you're done to lock in that title. So as you can see here, there's nothing listed here. There is a button up here to say add to, but I find that to be very cumbersome. Here's a much better method. We're going to click back up here to the music library at the top left corner. And what we're going to do is we're going to manually drag and drop songs into this playlist. One thing I want to mention right here, because it seems to confuse some people, if you put a song from the music library into a playlist and then delete the song from the playlist, it does not delete the actual song. However, if you delete a song from the music library and it's in a playlist, it will delete it. Hopefully that made sense. So let's say I want to just throw a few songs in here. I want to ask the live class here real quick just to respond to this. Does everyone here know the difference between selecting a list of items and individual items? Just a quick yes or no. If we get a few people who say no, I'll be happy to go over it. All right, we got a couple no's, so I'm going to go over it. For those of you who do know, congratulations, you get a gold star. Ding! So if you want to select random songs here, not in any particular order, to drag in, I'm going to show you how to do that. PC owners, every time I say the word command on your computer, I'm talking about the control button, okay? So when they're not in any particular order, what you're going to do is click on the first one that you want to use, hold the command key, and just click away, okay? You can add in as many as you want, okay? Just go a little random here. And when you have what you want, you're going to click and hold on any one that's already selected here and just drag it and drop it into your playlist. Notice right now it has the little number 9. I think you can see that on your screen. Okay, so that means I'm dragging 9 songs into Thanksgiving playlist. Now the second method is, let's say I love me some Adam Levine. I want to bring in this whole Maroon 5 album. Okay, I can click on the first item, but this time I'm going to hold the Shift key. PC users, it's the exact same. Now I can click on the last item in my list, and you'll notice that everything in between is now also highlighted. Same thing. Click, drag, and drop it into that list. I'm not going to do that because I think I would have some duplicates in there. So once you've done that, we can now go back into Thanksgiving playlist, and you'll notice here I have all of those songs here. At the very top, it shows me how long this takes up. Now, if you'd like to burn a CD from this music here, I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. But first, I actually want to show you how to reorder them. So when you're creating your playlist, some people really care about the order that these songs are in. It's as simple as clicking, dragging, and dropping it to the position you want. So if I want the song Personal to be last, I would just click it and drag it to the very bottom, and it's down there. Now, if you want to burn this playlist to a CD, you can do that. Again, I gave you the recommendations for an external burner should you need one. As far as the media that you're going to need, what I always recommend is CD minus R discs. They're really inexpensive these days. There are some brands that tend to be better than others, I've noticed. So when you go to buy blank media, just make sure you read the reviews and make sure that it seems to be good across the whole spectrum. These days, that doesn't tend to be as much of an issue, but just read the reviews just in case, especially if your CD player is older. So when you have it in the right amount of time, and also that's another thing I should note, you can only fit so much music on a CD. I want to say the standard is 80 minutes these days. I could be wrong. So watch that number up here, otherwise it's going to break it up a little bit. Just right-click, PC users, Mac users, secondary click, and check it out. It's right here, Burn Playlist to Disk, and it will do that for you. That's one way to create a playlist. Now, the second method that you can, if you don't have all the time in the world to do that, is you can use another feature called Genius Mode. And this is great for the kind of thing where you want to have a flow to your music. So let's say, you can see here I have a ton of pop music, so it shouldn't be an issue here. Let's say I'm going to use the song Leaving California, all right? It's not like we're promoting Maroon 5 enough in this class, right? So if I want to use that song as my Genius playlist, all I have to do is right-click on it and check it, secondary click. Sorry, I go back and forth between the two. And it's the fifth item down is Create Genius Playlist. So what it's going to do is sort of analyze my music, and it's going to create a playlist of music that is similar to this particular song. And there we go. Now, by default, Genius Playlist uses 25 songs. However, if you go up here to the very top left, you can change it to 50, 75, or 100 songs as well. And what's great is that if you go through here and you see a song that you don't want, you can always hit the delete key. Keep in mind, this is a playlist, so if you hit delete on a song, you're not deleting the actual song. You're just telling it not to play within this space. All right, we went over that. The third method, which I will mention, even though I don't think it's the kind of thing a lot of you out there are going to be interested in, is called a smart playlist. It's very similar to rules in the Apple Mail program, and that is, once again, down here with the little plus symbol, new smart playlist. And so you can basically say if the song meets these conditions, add it to a playlist. So for example, you could say if the beats per minute equals 128 beats per minute, put it in this playlist. Again, theoretically, I would see that being helpful for a DJ, but no DJ uses iTunes. So, and there's all sorts of different options here. It's basically the same categories that you can select. So we'll hit cancel on that one. Next thing I want to do is show you what to do if you go to import a CD and it doesn't have any of the track information. And this does occasionally happen. Now you can apply this to an individual song or an entire album. So I'm going to give you an example here. I don't have I should have probably done this before the class. Please pretend this One Republic, these 4 songs here, pretend that those just say track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4, and nothing else. So instead of having to go through each individual track and put in the track name in the track album, and yes, you will have to do that for the track name, but I want to show you how to kind of group them all together at least. So what you would do in this case is click on the first item, hold the Shift key, and click on the last item. And then what you're going to do is on your keyboard, you're going to hit Command I as in indigo. PC users, Control I. It's going to give you a little warning screen. Are you sure you want to edit information from multiple items? If you do this a lot, you can always check this box that says do not ask me this again and hit edit. So from here, I can tell it, again, if this didn't have the information, this would all be blank right here. I can type in manually the name of the album, the name of the artist, what year it was, okay, and that way it'll group everything together. Very, very simple. This is also another way that you can add in artwork, okay? So to do that, just click here to this little tab, hit Add Artwork. It's going to ask you to where that image is on your computer. I need to check out, there used to be another way to do this, and we should probably check that real quick. So one of the things that can be kind of cool, especially if you play your music on another device like an iPhone, iPod, or iPad, is it'll have the little album artwork there. And one little trick I would like to give you is this. Go into your music library, and what we're going to do is we're going to tell the computer to analyze every piece of music here and see if it can download the additional album artwork. So to do that, what we're going to do is on the Mac users, you're going to hit Command A, that's select all. PC users, you want to take a guess at what you're hitting? Control A. Same deal here. We're going to right click, secondary click if you're a Mac owner, Get Album Artwork. Okay, it's the first item there in that third column, or third row rather. And so what this is going to do is it's going to go out to the internet and it's going to try, it's not going to necessarily work for every track, but it's going to try to figure out what does the cover look like for that particular album. Now if you don't have it, there's another trick I would like to show you, and that is simply to use images.google, sorry I'm typing with one hand, images.google.com. So let's say I'm trying to get the album artwork for that One Republic album. I type in One Republic, and that's the album right there, native. Okay, and so what I can do theoretically, I want to just give this a quick try. You can download this image to your, let's say your desktop or wherever you want, and then do the find function, which I just showed you. I want to actually see here if you can still copy and paste it in though. Okay, so pretend that album artwork wasn't there, and actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a slightly different version of that image. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to try just dragging and dropping it. Hey, it does work. So if you look up here, this little space at the very top left, if you just grab an image and drag it and drop it up there, it will make that the album artwork. Good, I was wondering about that one. Forgot to look that up before the class. Let's see here. We've gone over burning a CD. We've gone over creating playlists. The next thing we're going to talk about here, just going to give you a little trick if you have duplicates on your computer. So if you have duplicates, it happens. Here's the easy way to correct it. You're going to go up here to where it says View in the File menu. Okay, File, Edit, View, Show Duplicate Items. Now there's something you need to be careful of here, and this is where having this bitrate column here is handy. So look at this top example here, where we have Lady Gaga and her song Applause. it appears that we have a duplicate until you look over here at bitrate. So one of them is a 320 kbps and one is 256. What that means, the higher kilobits per second, the clearer the audio. Also means the larger the file. So typically when I'm going through, when I'm working with a client and eliminating duplicates, I will trash the lower quality file. So even though the time may completely match up, in this case it's about 2 seconds off, make sure you watch the bit rate. Okay, and so then you can go through this list, and if you hit delete, like let's say I do it with this one, if I hit the delete key, it's going to say, are you sure you want to move this song to the trash? Move to trash. It's another example where holding the command or control key in the case of a PC and going through all of these and then hitting delete, it's a lot faster to do this process. The other thing to be aware of is that sometimes especially if you're a big fan of someone, you may have their normal albums, but then they come out with some sort of a special hits, okay? It will also bring those into this list. So just make sure you look another one at the album name because you may want to keep, in that case, both versions. But that's your own preference. Let's hit done up here at the top right and get back to this. So the next thing we're going to talk about here is iTunes Radio. Is anyone here in the live classes, anyone here want to share, if you're listening to songs, do you ever use like Pandora, Spotify, or iTunes Radio? Is anyone here just kind of curious to see what people are using? You can type in your question, your answer in the question box. A lot of people saying Spotify, some people saying iTunes Radio, a couple for Pandora. So let me go over one of the big differences between these different services. So I personally use iTunes Radio and Spotify. I like them both for different reasons. If you've never seen Spotify, just take a guess where you can find a class on it. Yes, it's on our website. It's basically like iTunes with an unlimited gift card. The only thing is that there are ads, but what's nice about it is you can play songs in the order that you want. I don't recommend Pandora anymore to anyone, and I'll give you a reason. So Pandora is most similar to iTunes Radio. Here's the big difference. One of the things that's important when looking at these different streaming services, and yes, I'm aware there's a lot more out there than just Pandora, but one of the things that I have found is that the biggest difference between Pandora and iTunes Radio actually comes down to licensing. So if you are on Pandora, you may notice that you tend to hear the same songs over and over again. That's because Pandora's license library is a fraction of what Apple has access to. And it comes down to money is what it ultimately is. You know, I don't have a problem with using a service that isn't Apple, even though many of you think that might not be the case, but I don't have a problem with it. After all, I did just tell you I use Spotify. But the whole thing is that if you have license access to different music, it means that the user experience is going to be better in terms of variety. So the way iTunes Radio works, you do have to have an Apple ID in order to use this. You just go here to where it says My Stations and hit the little plus symbol, and you can essentially create a radio station based around either a genre, an artist, or even a specific song. So you can see some of the ones that I have here on my side. Let's say I'm really into, well, we've already given them, let's see here. Let's go back to one of the classics. Let's say Michael Jackson here. So if I just start to type in the word Michael Jackson, you can see I can create an entire playlist, an entire radio station based around that information. It does not mean it's just going to play Michael Jackson music, but it's going to play other music that's in a similar category. This feature is totally free. They do give you the option to purchase the music, but you don't need to. But it's a really nice feature. A lot of times when I'm just getting work done at my office, I find it to be very nice and relaxing to have in the background. That being said, if you're the kind of person who really likes to determine what songs play, and especially what play in which order, that's where Spotify might be a better option for you. But there's no reason why you have to stick with just one. So if you like iTunes, if you like iTunes Radio, it's probably a pretty good chance you'll also enjoy Spotify. I know in the past, maybe someone here in the live classes can confirm this or not, in the past it used to be required to have a Facebook account in order to use Spotify. I don't remember if that is still the case or not. By the way, they do have some featured radio stations up here, so if you just want to hear, the week's top 50, you can just click here to add it. Okay, there's a whole bunch of different options up here. Okay, let's get out of that. The next thing we're going to talk about here, just a couple handy, not necessary, but handy hotkeys. Let's see. Does anyone else? Nope, no one said if it requires a Facebook account. Oh, sorry. Perry just to mention, no, you do not need a Facebook account anymore for Spotify. Good news for those of you out there who don't. So a couple of quick hotkeys. So when you're getting work done, sometimes it's fun to use hotkeys. It's just a combination of keys to get something done. And I'm going to give you 3 of them. The first one is actually a little bit of an alternative to a Genius playlist, which is that you can have it go into Genius mode without actually creating a playlist around it. And the way to do that is, let me just make sure, I want to confirm the controls here for this one. I believe it's, you can check on your end, I believe it's Option and the space bar. Let's try it out real quick. So I'm going to use Love Somebody here. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit because, again, I don't want to get hit with any licensing infringement here. So Option, Shift, and when I hit the next, yep, it's doing it. So if you just click on a song and hit Option and then the space bar, it'll go into Genius mode. And actually you can see, if you look up here at the top left, check it out. That is the Genius symbol you'll see right there. Okay, pretty cool. The next one is if you're playing a song and you want to just skip to the next song, Command, again, PC users control, the right arrow will go to the next song, the left arrow will go to the previous song. Also, Command up or down is also another way to get access to your volume controls, although frankly more people tend to use the volume controls at the top right corner of their Mac, but whichever is fine. Let's see here. Next thing I want to mention. Oh, great little feature here. It's a little bit hard for me to demonstrate this feature, so I'm going to try to describe it as best I can. For those of you out there who have a pre-existing sound system in your home, there is a way to wirelessly play your music from your Mac or PC, for that matter, on your home audio system, even if it's maybe an older one. Here's how you do it. Again, very difficult for me to describe this, but I'm going to do my best. So some of you who have taken our classes before may have heard me talk about certain routers that I recommend. The key one that I tend to recommend is the Airport Extreme. Now, the Airport Extreme just puts out a better signal than any other router out there that I've tried, and it's very reliable. It's made by Apple, so if you have a problem, they have a great warranty to go with it. But there's also this other little device called an Airport Express. The Airport Express, let's see here. I thought I still had the PC classes website up. If you go to our website, it's under wireless routers. It's $100. I think actually through our website you can get it for about $8 less, something like that. But one of the little handy features about it is there is a audio jack on the back. So if your audio system, your pre-existing stereo has RCA, out. Yes, it is audio out. That'd be usually red and white. There's a cable that you can get to go from RCA to mini jack, okay? Also known as, I always mix up the terms here, is it 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch? I want to say it's 1/8 inch. Anyways, if you get that cable, you can now connect your stereo to your wireless network. And this is where we can use a technology called AirPlay. Another way to do this is for those of you out there who have an Apple TV. Apple TV is a little black box, looks like a hockey puck, plugs into your television and allows you to basically access anything in iTunes, iPhoto, on your television. You can also mirror your computer, which is a pretty cool feature. I am hoping we are going to actually be able to now do a class on Apple TV. I'm going to try to do it this holiday season if I can. We need some special equipment to be able to record the screen, so we're going to have to invest in that. But the way you sling the music from your computer, and this also works, by the way, with an iPhone, an iPod Touch, or an iPad, is look for this symbol up here. This is the symbol for AirPlay. So in my case, I have 2 Apple TVs in my house. I have one in the bedroom and one in the family room. I have a home office for those of you who are curious about that. So what I can do is I could play a piece of music either from my laptop to my bedroom or my family room. But there's also this button up here for multiple. This is great for parties, so I can have the same song playing in sync in every room. It's a pretty cool feature. And if you have a stereo, you can use an Airport Express to make that one of these options as well. Okay. Again, it's the best I can do here. I think that we go over it maybe a little bit in, I think we have a class on AirPlay. It goes back a little ways, but I believe it's still all relevant. You can always check that out, of course, on our website. Let's see here. I do want to give you 2 last little tips. These they're not really off topic. I think we can still go over them. So one of the issues, I guess you could say, that I have with the way the Macs are coming out now is we now have less storage than we used to because of the fact that it's all flash memory. So the problem, you don't have a lot of space, right? Oh, that's where that window was. Well, if you run to the point where you're really kind of out of space on your Mac, okay, there is a trick to get it back. You can move all of your music to a different location. Let me show you how this works. I shouldn't have just closed that, so give me 2 seconds to just reload this website. So for those of you out there with a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro Retina, technically this could work on an iMac, but the iMacs actually do come with a ton of storage these days because they do still use the traditional drive format. Is if you go here to our website, go back into the store, and I believe you can find it in actually 2 places, Blank Media or Miscellaneous Gadgets. In Miscellaneous Gadgets, just go to page 2. If you look up here at the very, very top of Miscellaneous Gadgets, page 2, we have these 2 little gadgets here. So the one I would probably recommend is this one here, the PNY Store Edge. Cute name, huh? So what this is if you look on the side of your computer, you probably have, and by the way, I should probably mention, PC owners, this will work with your computer too. On the side of your computer, you have this little slot that's about 1 inch long. It's called an SD card slot. What this little gadget does is it fits in snugly? Yeah, that works. Okay. Sounded weird when I said it. Into that little slot, and you can move your entire music library onto it. What I also love about these little cards is they are practically indestructible. If you drop it in a puddle, they're fine. Probably would not recommend putting it in a microwave. That would probably fry it. You can throw it off the Empire State Building. Should be fine as long as the car doesn't run over it. But even so, I've had flash drives just go through absolute hell, and they're still fine. So what you can do if you decide to go with this solution, and by the way, this one here also works. The reason why I put both of these is depending on which model computer you have, one of these may sit more flush in your computer than the other. So please do your research before actually buying these, okay? Read the reviews. But the mini drive allows you to put a micro SD card inside it. That's what it's kind of showing you in this graphic. But you can also get the same amount of storage, 128 gigs. Although at some point in time, I'm sure it'll be even more than that. So if you do that, here's how you move your entire music library. Mac users, and actually PC users, is pretty similar. So if you go into your home folder here, okay, that's the one that looks like a little house. It should say your name here. You have a folder called Music. Now I have to quit. I'm not going to actually do it, so that's okay. What you have to do is go here into Music. In Music, you have a folder called iTunes. And what you would be doing is you would be basically copying and pasting. And notice how I phrase that. Copy and paste, not move. Okay, so you'd secondary click, copy iTunes, and if you plug in one of those other options, I think I actually have one here. Let's see. I do. Let's not go into that. If I did, it would show up here on the left-hand side. You can just copy and paste that into the PNY storage device. Then what you have to do is you have to tell iTunes now that the library is in a different location. Here's how you do it. You'd have to quit out of iTunes, so it's not running in the background. And then when you go to open it, what you do is you hold down the Option key while opening it. And when you do that, it may be going on my second screen here. Give me 1 second. It is. Hold on, dragging it over. Sorry, I use multiple monitors when I teach these classes. When you do that, it says choose iTunes library because now you're telling it it's in a different location. So all you would do is you'd say choose library and now point it towards that external solution. Here's another trick I would like to give you. Let's say you're the kind of person who has multiple computers. I want to show you a pretty creative way to sync iTunes across every computer. It's basically to do the exact same thing I just showed you, but instead of using the PNY Edge storage, you use iCloud Drive. iCloud Drive is sort of an alternative to other services out there like Dropbox, which, by the way, you could theoretically use as well. It's just that iCloud has really, the prices for extra iCloud storage is so absurdly low. I think I'm paying right now $4 a month for, 200 gigs of storage. And what this will do is it'll take your whole music library and you can put it in the cloud. So what that means is any other computers you have that are also signed into that same iCloud account, now they're going to automatically sync. So if you create a playlist in one, boom, it's on the other. Now, that particular feature is one of the things that you have to pay for if you use iTunes Match. But by doing it this method, you bypass that. iTunes Match, by the way, I should probably mention it. It is a option. It's good for some people. It's not great for everyone out there, but it's $25 a year, I believe, and it does allow you to do what I just showed you without putting everything in the cloud. But what it will do that is nice is it will take every piece of music on your computer. There is a limit of, I want to say it's 10,000 songs, so if you have more than that, it might not be a good solution, but it will take the songs no matter where they came from. Could be they came from a CD, could be they came from, can we just say other location? And you know what I'm talking about. And it will put them all in the cloud for you. So what's nice about that, let me give you another example where this is handy. Let's say you have an iPhone that's out of storage space, okay? By moving everything into iCloud's iTunes Match, you can play the songs off the internet, so they're not taking up any storage on your phone. It's been a while since I looked this up, but I believe iTunes Match, the way you get it, is still through the iTunes Store. Let's see if I can remember this. I wanted to say it was over here on the right-hand side. It is. iTunes Match. See it right here? And so that's where you can go into that and sign up for that. $24.99 per year. The other thing that's nice is it will put it up to a very high-quality audio. Okay? Even, by the way, if your original song was at a lower quality. So that's a pretty nice feature for some people, but it's not for everyone. Okay? So let's see here. Just going through my little information here. Last little thing I think I'll mention real quickly. Let's go back here. And we're going to actually go back to the store. Let's go to movies. So one of the things I will say I really enjoy quite often is I rent movies from the iTunes Store pretty often. I don't rent it on my computer, but I do rent it via Apple TV. But if you're looking at a movie and you want to, if you're looking at a movie and you want to maybe save a little bit of money, there's this interesting website that just came up, and of all people, it's actually made by the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America. And the website is called I thought it would be my history. wheretowatch.com. So nowadays we have multiple ways to get access to movies and TV shows, right? We have iTunes, we have Amazon, we have Vudu, we have so many of these different options here. So, for example, let's say I'm looking to get me some Hunger Games. Okay? I can hit search. Oh, helps if I call it Hunger Games and not Hugger Games. The problems with typing with one hand. So let's do this one here. And if I scroll down, check it out. It shows you through here where you can rent it or purchase it for less. So right off the bat it says on iTunes it's $3.99. But hey, if I have an Amazon account, it's only $2.99. Pretty cool. Little reminder, just for those of you who are members of PC Classes Online, which of course for anyone out there who isn't a member is free. One of the ways that we're able to continue to offer our services, if you use Amazon, if you shop on Amazon, almost no matter where you live in the world, that's not across the board, but almost anywhere. If you go to our website, we have a little blog. There's at the top right, it says David's blog. There's a trick for when you shop on Amazon. Amazon will automatically donate 4 to 7% of your purchase to support our organization. If you want to check it out, we really, really appreciate it. It helps us be able to keep doing all of this for free. So we appreciate it. But you can see the other locations here like Voodoo, Xbox Video, Flickster, and Target Ticket. I've never even heard of that one, but anyways, it's there. So just a little website I thought I'd throw out there to all of you. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to stick around for the people who are here live right now and answer their questions. For those of you who have been tuning in through our website, through YouTube or our website, thank you so much for watching us. Please check out our other classes out there. We've got a ton of them online at this point. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know, it's obviously free, but that way you're notified whenever we come out with a class and you can check it out whenever you want. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesonline.com. Class dismissed. Everyone stick around.